right. It is now time for raising funds for world domination. Day number 172. Oh wow, got a bunch of chats. Orthoplex64, how's it going? Hello, fellow world dominator. Oh, are you also dominating the world? I guess we're competition then. I left a comment on your video with the microchip test. Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, that there's a few of those videos that I put quite a bit of work into those videos, and they don't. And I don't know. Like in some ways, for some videos, I understand why the video doesn't get many views, but like the how to make a CPU video that got 15 million, and then those ones, small videos, but I have 3 of those ones with the microchip chips, and they get like 2,000 views. They're totally different style of video, but they're fairly different. But in my opinion, it's the stark difference is not super obvious to me. Hope you have done some work to mitigate dust in your home. Maybe we can get an update on the dust levels. So actually, I think technically that bit of dust, I often use toilet paper to blow my nose, and I think around the area where I was actually like inspecting that microchip, I had like a roll of toilet paper, and every time I pull off a piece on the table there, it would like create a bit of fibers. So if in the video, you can see that the dust fibers are most of them are like a white color, which I think those are fibers from the toilet paper rolls. So that's I think a lot of that source. And then there's another big piece of dust that was, I think, probably a small hair or something. I think microchip still has the same dust on it, or did you clean it off? It's kind of hard to clean the dust. Sometimes if you unless you like get rid of all the dust, like unless you actually like purify the air. I mean, that's why actual microchip fabrication, it has to be in a clean room. But for some cases, I was able to just like if you just blow on it by chance, that'll move it away. But there's also like at very at very small scales, when if you blow on something like that, there's kind of an area very close to the surface of like dead air, so it can actually be kind of difficult to get it off. But in terms of cleaning it, I think any attempt to like wipe it off or something would just put more particles on it. Hello, are you going to make your world domination underground scheme into a game? Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to merge all of my goals together in some way. Might as well work on multiple problems at once to maximize success. All right, so here's the daily update. The October 6th, that was the last N13 merits hearing. So the conclusion is we're waiting to see if the N13s will be all rejected, or if we're going to do even more hearings. And I've been working on getting the store, Shopify Store, set up to hopefully increase some revenue. That's proven to that's taken way more time than I thought it would. Store products got disabled. They're still disabled in Google Merchant Center. I think I'm going to just kind of let that sit for a while. It seems like, I don't know if there's some kind of crawler that might, like it's still saying that a bunch of my like shipping stuff is unconfigured, but I already fixed those, so I'll wait a while and see if it like some of the warning signs go away. Canada Post is running again. Oh, and I have if anyone wants to buy a new block type dedication. I also, another thing with the Shopify store is I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to make it so when you buy a product, so you can actually specify something. So I want to let people customize something to, even just for now, just to put the name of the thing, like whatever public nickname or whatever they want dedicated for the block type. And I think I found a way to do that. Unfortunately, though, it's I guess I didn't realize this, but Shopify lets you like basically edit the code of the theme and stuff. So effectively, it's like just add a basic form field that's mandatory on. I didn't even figure out how to make it mandatory, but just add a basic form field to say like, what nickname do you want? I have to go in and edit the code. So I kind of thought Shopify would allow me to get away from coding and just, if I'm paying money for some supposedly sophisticated service, but I guess not. All right, and the other item I worked on today was the marketing video, which coming up on, it was October 2 I last released a video. It's been 11 days and I feel like I'm barely accomplished anything on the video, but I guess I made some graphics and stuff today that I'll use toward it. Yeah, the next couple of days I'll have to just kind of take whatever I have for the script and get it done. Stanley Wayne says, hello, how's it going? What's your 5-year plan? That's a good question. I don't know, in the past I felt like I had more concrete plans. I don't know, there's to be honest, there's not enough stability in the world to really create plans anymore. Well, we'll have to see what happens. I guess once I have a conclusion on the N13 situation, because they could potentially, just rush through an eviction or something, and then immediately I gotta go somewhere. Probably just bail. Go back and spend some time with parents. But if I can stay up here, it'd be nice to. It is kind of nice having access to things, but unfortunately, in the last few years, I seem to just work all the time. I don't even get time to go out to meetups. The last couple of times I looked to see if there's many meetups around Waterloo. There wasn't really much, but if I had a bit of spare time, then I would check to see if COVID was a long time ago now, so presumably in-person events have recovered a little bit by now. Colossal says, hi, how's it going? Stayed with parents prior to AWS job. It was painful. Yeah, it's much nicer to live on your own. I guess depending on family relationships, those can be potentially challenging depending on what your family's like. Is there anything hardware related that would assist you? I'll be attempting to repair an USB 6361. If this could benefit you, please let me know. Agreed, the world is so unstable. Difficult to plan. Anything hardware believe that would assist you. I'm not really sure what you mean by that question. Attempting to repair NI USB. I'm not sure what that part is. Okay, let's continue work on the block mining simulation game. Oh, not 2024. Alright, here's where we are with the block mining simulation game. So the scroll bar works pretty good. It works in both orientations. You're going to put predefined maps, level spaces into the game. Currently, everything's generated. It's procedurally generated. So the internal model. I think a big aspect of the internal model of the game is I want everything to be just like in this block-like grid. It would be. I'm not sure what timeline it'd get around to it, but I think it would also be interesting to even have 3D interfaces to the game. So like you could walk around this world in like a voxel type of interface, or if you could you could have clients where clients connect in either type of interface, in like a 2D interface or in a 3D. But I'll just see. I don't know. See what direction things go in. I think once I have the actual crafting implemented a bit better, once it's actually easy to add crafting recipes, then I'll probably add a bunch of them, and that'll actually add quite a bit more new things you can actually do, and then we can kind of see what direction the development takes, because I think there's kind of like two different aspects of development. There's one thing that's like the to build game content you need systems. So for example, the multiplayer aspect, or like networking, the user interface stuff, like the list, like a list is not a game, but it can facilitate a game. So there's a bunch of systems I need to add in order to facilitate adding the content. So once let's see if with the list thing, I can probably have, I don't know, probably inside of a week or something, I can probably have, I guess it's conceivable that I could even be at the next release in like a week or something. But I don't want to commit to that today. Will you make it multiplayer? I made a full 3D voxel system for Hack Matrix. Might add a client mod if you make it multiplayer. Yeah, so technically, like there is I do have some multiplayer code, so the networking stuff, there's networking stuff that exists, but there's like the concept of an actual player in the world doesn't really exist yet. So like you could, there is a server, and if you connect to the server, what it does is there's only one information on the back end. Like there's only one player position object on the back end. So what would happen is if two clients connect to the same world, they would just see, well, like, well, the way it works right now is both clients just see like whatever, they see their own universe. They're not connected to each other, so that they wouldn't see another player. And every time it moves around, it sends a message to the server to update the player position, the last player position, to whatever you submitted from the client. So what that would mean is it's just a race condition of whichever player moved last. That's the position that the server would remember. So that's obviously not at all good enough. So there's just, it needs to be I think the way, well, eventually I'd like to add multiplayer. I don't know how much time it will take me to accomplish that. I think I'll probably add it kind of in steps. So now that I have the like framing system working good, I will probably make it so you can do like open custom frame. And then I'll maybe have like I'll maybe have something like open world connection. So you can so first I'll add the ability to connect to multiple worlds. So you would actually be able to just, well, actually right now, yeah, so that's not quite right, but yeah, so basically with this, it's just doing a race condition, whatever. Actually, I think this will, okay, yeah. So it's smart enough to, it's because the player itself is not actually an object, it's not taking up space. But I'll eventually, I think that one of the next things I'll do is I will add basically like, I don't know what you call this, like local, like single player or multiplayer. So you could add like within this one client, you could first add the ability to have two clients that can connect to the same local world, or even that they can split screen. Yeah, I guess like split screen mode. And so once that works, then it's just a matter of kind of slowly adding more and more to get the functionality. But yeah, as you can see, it's not quite there. Yeah, and then I'll probably like kind of generalize this concept of like block addresses, so you can, things can be at an XYZ, and almost like with a URL, so you can have like, this could be a local, before this you'd have like a local path to a file, or it could be a networked address, so with like a DNS name or an IP address. So you could have like, block.robertelder.org, and then an address, and then, I mean, this is getting maybe getting lost in the weeds, but like adding the easy ability to like copy world information between local and remote worlds. The media has continuous space, and your game has discrete multiplayer. Took me a few days for smooth, continuous movement. Yeah, that's another big thing that I have not done at all is add the ability to add some like transaction resolution mechanism. So right now, like obviously you can't even have two players in the same world. But once you can, I will need the ability to do like transaction resolution. Because actually, right now there's even a bug where if you run this on a slow computer, if you go up to like a block and you hold like this, say there's only one block around you, if you hold down the M key, it'll send a bunch of commands to try and mine that block, and so it'll mine it like 50 times, even though the block only exists once. So duping exists. So that's another feature that would have to be added. It's like a transaction resolution mechanism. And right now, I don't have a concept of like right now the client is trusted for things. So I need an ability to send like commands about intentions to the server, and then the server will process and validate that. URL addressing, very interesting. Yeah, I think that only makes sense. I think it would be like it would be about as much work if you're making it work with one world to make it work with like arbitrary numbers of worlds. So that way you could have like I mean, again, this is like lots of work that I don't know if I'll ever get there, but you could have like a command line or something. So you can have like command operations you can run to say like, copy, like for testing and debugging stuff. I think Minecraft has these. I haven't really used them much, but you can like copy a square region of the world from here to here and duplicate stuff. But it would make sense if that could also work between regions or between like local and remote stuff. Which could even give you an easy facility for bots. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely ignored Tom O'Brien. Welcome to the member tier. I got sidetracked with my daydreaming of what could be. Nolan Merville says, "Hi, Robert. How's it going?" As always it goes. Today I'm in fuzz testing hell you endured last month. Oh, when I was doing the screen layer merging nonsense. Yeah, if you're, I guess depending on what you're coding, that could be pretty intense, especially if it's like a real world, like a business is building. With all sorts of evolved requirements. No arguments. 236. Game Dev Chad, how's it going? Super Bellicious. Is that a pun related to Super Bowl, or I don't watch any sports. All right, it's a bit more of a friendly theme. My data structures class, Meta's code. A game called Super Bowl. Nice. What is it? One of those like block, paddle block games. Superb plus delicious. Oh, okay. That's good. I didn't check the stock market today. Hopefully the market didn't completely crash on you. One of these days it's gonna, I don't know, I think one of these days the market, it's either gonna crash up or it's gonna crash down. I mean, the news headlines say that we've got lots of peace deals and stuff, but what if the peace deals don't hold? Like they seem pretty fragile. We got all these escalations with Russia and stuff. The on the ground reality is getting crazier every day. So we may wake up one morning and find out the bond markets have all crashed. Rare earth mineral stocks flying. You know, I actually have. I should actually. That would be a good. How long would it take me to crank that out? I actually bought back when I had more money. There's more cash flow coming in. I actually bought a sample collection of rare earth glass. So I have. I bought it because you can do. There's some interesting experiments you can do with it. Like erbium doped glass, you can use that for laser pumping, and I thought I could do some demos and stuff like that. But they're also very pretty. Like they're like all colors of the rainbow, because the reason that rare earths are so useful and important is because they cover like every single different combination of like what you want for number of electrons or electron holes in the outer shell. You can cover all of them, and a lot of the useful properties of an element are related to how many electrons are in the valence shell or whatever, and that's intrinsically related to the rainbow colors of them. It's because when light shines off it, the wavelengths of light that end up getting absorbed and re-emitted are covering a wide variety of different wavelengths. You still have the collection? Yeah, I have. I can't remember how many. There's at least like 10 of them, I think. I bought it. I remember I bought it when there was a decent. Had a decent amount of spare cash, and I had to buy it from like a very specific company in. I think it was Albania or something. And I remember I bought it when the euro was very low. So I was like, yeah, this will be good. They were quite expensive. It was like $400. Like neodymium glass, pink and daylight, and blue and fluorescent light. Yeah, that's an interesting property of some of them. I have there's a few of them that under normal light they're just clear, but I guess if you have I think if you have a like soft, if you have an ultraviolet light, you can, or like soft X-ray, you can get them to shine other kinds of weird colors. Now this list thing is basically done. There was one more thing. That I was thinking about. Oh yeah. So ways I make that bigger. It's gaining more on the side, but it's not making them any taller. So that's vertical orientation. Unfiltered says, good evening, everyone. How's it going? So one of the dimensions in either orientation is fixed. But I'd kind of like to make it so, like as you make, if there's more space available, then that like scales up by something. I'm just trying to think about a decent way to do that. Automated killing on MP materials if I put more than pocket change into it. Strategic minerals was a sleeper until it wasn't. Yeah, anything to do with the war efforts or anything that can be caught up in trade wars. And you can't just do an ICO to print more rare earth. You actually have to mine them. Fall back to Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch for investing strategy. Yeah, they definitely had it figured out. I think they're also interesting. Like a lot of their meetups and stuff they have lots of platitudes and stuff. But I think there are also some cases where like there's some like deeper strategy that they don't really talk about. Stuff where like if you dig deeper into how they actually buy and sell things. It doesn't always match their aphorisms. So I guess what we'll do Can't find the constructor. Here it is. Buffett holding $344 billion in cash. Yeah, I think he's been saying for a while that, if I remember correctly, that his current cash holdings are like some of the biggest cash holdings that he's ever had, and he's like kind of more or less alluded before that the stock market is way overvalued and it's going to crash soon or something, or like I don't follow him as much as I used to. I don't think Buffett likes commodities. Yeah, I think he's all about that exponential growth, and the problem with commodities is if you buy a piece of gold, it's not intrinsically productive. So there's no, it might go up in value, but it's not like an actively producing piece of the economy. There's a movie, Pi, written and directed by Darren Aronofsky. Gifted mathematician in New York is trying to crack the code of the stock market. I've heard of that movie. I think I got as far as thinking about maybe watching it, but I never did. I mean, might take out a lot of, like, there's lots of people doing like naive stuff, like just, run a Fourier transform on the stock market and expect to get some kind of pattern. That there's like, secret waves embedded in or something. But I mean, that fundamentally this moves in the stock market are the result of they're the empirical result of people buying and selling things. And ultimately that behavior, like the big money, there's all these people, Wall Street people, who are in the, like, very much in the know on stuff. I find it really interesting how, like, when you listen to some of the people analyze stuff, like when they analyze big events, like when the Israel-Iran war, when that was really ramping up, I was watching some podcast where people were talking about the first thing they did was like look at what the oil market was doing, and based on the behavior of the price in the oil market, people concluded that like this would be this would be over pretty quickly, and it was not going to be a serious escalation, just based on the price action in the market. And that there is kind of an interesting truth about that, about like prediction markets. Is like you can trust, like for political outcomes, you don't trust some random poll because all the polls are biased. But a prediction market, if people are like willing to bet money on stuff, like there's enough people out there who just don't care about the outcome, and they just want to make money. So if someone's like trying to buy the market by like betting too much on one side, but trying to skew the prediction market, you can just wipe them out if they're wrong by betting against them. Do you have stocks or ETFs? Nope, I have no investments. I'm broke. I did have some back about a year ago, but sold them. Yeah, public accounts for over 50%. The Russell 2000s gains since 22. Yeah, and I've heard there's concern about there's some kind of cyclical investment thing going on where Nvidia's making a lot of money, so their stock goes up, and then because their stock goes up, that's creating like an investment bubble in AI companies, and the AI companies are buying more. They're buying more silicon from Nvidia, so it's just a vicious cycle. Buffett's advice: timing the market beats timing the market. Honestly, like the more I learn about the world, and the more that's coming out about like the corruption and stuff, the market, like in the past, you used to be able to sit down with a pen and paper and say like, what's the book value of this company? If you sold the assets or the materials or something, you can come with a price. But increasingly, money is just like it's a thing that's just arbitrarily created and destroyed by the government at will. So if the government wants the price of something to go up, it will. Unless you have inside information on that stuff, you don't stand a chance. We need to buy gold, melt our pennies. Actually, I remember back in the day, that was one of my ideas back in 2007. I actually called up a scrapyard, and I asked them like, would you have any issue if I brought you a whole bunch of pennies? Because that was my plan. Was I was gonna make my job just like buy pennies all day at the bank, and then just like pick out all the copper ones and melt them down. But they said that it's illegal. It's illegal here. I don't know about in the U.S. I would imagine there's basically no copper pennies in circulation anymore. They've all been picked out. Microsoft gives free compute to OpenAI, calls it $10 billion investment. OpenAI uses compute. Microsoft bucks it as revenue. Then a press release and stock price goes up. Meanwhile, no money changed hands. A building full of precious rare earth materials are used to boil a small lake. Yeah, I've used actually I even used AI today to like just create some like background graphics for well, if you saw my the last video I did on the difference between criminal and civil law, so there's this like kind of graphic in the background about like civil law, criminal law, and just to have something interesting to talk over, I just used AI to make that graphic. Although I find a lot of times I'll actually have to edit it myself. I'll have to like maybe make it bigger or change a color or something. But it is pretty wasteful because I'll ask it to do. I'll just kind of throw in like an instruction at random to say like make it have a cool theme with like law or something, and then it'll like it'll be like searching for the entire history of law and like iconic symbols and like checking the Oxford Dictionary, and like it'll go in way overboard on things and do all this work that I don't even care about, and then the result comes back and it's like it's kind of messed up, so I just ignore it anyway. And the AI generated stuff is AI generated art that I've used so far. It's really good, but it must be incredibly like wasteful behind the scenes. And honestly, the biggest drawback for me now is it's quite slow. Like it takes a very, very long time. It's like sometimes it takes me like an hour to get one image that I can use. US, even though pennies are copper-plated zinc, materials are still worth more. Nickels too. Also, melting them for sale is illegal. Also, zinc. The price has exceeded zinc prices now. It used to just be like it was only for copper ones, but I guess with inflation, eventually they'll have to be made of plastic. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I haven't really thought about that, but with the rate of inflation now, I would imagine that the price of it's not going to be long before it's completely even in the US. The US is going to have to get rid of pennies and nickels in the not too distant future, because it's not going to be economic to make them. They can lose a little bit now, but if it becomes like ludicrously expensive, and also people will just once it becomes really profitable, people take them out of circulation. Actually, we don't, in Canada, we don't even have pennies anymore. Numismatist's value of old pennies will probably outperform melt value over time. Yeah, historically that's been the case. Although these days we had like technology is good enough. I kind of wonder about forgeries and stuff. Sora 2 generates anime shockingly well. Imagine that would be targeted for integration. Have you seen any anime? I have never watched an anime. Except for I did see I think it's a series or something called One Punch Man. I saw like a couple episodes of that. What do you think? The first run of State Quarters, Linda Ports. Have a complete set. First run of State Quarters. I don't know. I don't. How old are those? Are they silver? $99,208. Pretty sure they'll never have a collector's value, but I enjoyed putting them together. Yeah, I used to collect coins when I was a kid, but I guess when I collected them, like at that time there was, the older ones. I spent about these like coin collecting books and stuff. I always used to spend time looking at all the old rare ones, hoping I'd get one day. And at that time, like looking back, you would look back at the rare ones from many years ago and think, someday the ones that I'm collecting, the new ones that I'm collecting now, are going to go up in value. And I'm pretty sure that most of them didn't. Because back in 1858, nobody collected coins, but now in like 1980, everyone bought all those sets and stuff. Even bought a bunch from like the post office. A collection of 2008 SD coders. Laughing at the idea of having the time, equipment, or whereabouts for large to forge ancient coins and actually follow through with it. We take DC Comics, Joker level of madness. I think it's not like it's not that difficult. I looked into it, like what would the process be. I think you can. It probably cost you like a few $1,000s. With a few $1,000s worth of equipment, I think you could probably start like making your own tokens or something of some kind. What's wrong? Zinc and pennies is not worth more. Just that it costs to manufacture them. Nickel melt value does exceed 5 cents. How close is the zinc to being worth 1 cent? Because it won't eventually. Like once it starts to be a loss leader, or once it's like another few more years, because I'm sure the U.S. wants more inflation to inflate away the debt. All right, that's doing what I want. I guess it must be, it's preserving an aspect ratio. Didn't Trump kill the penny earlier this year? In Canada, they did years ago. I forget when we got rid of the penny, but it was a while ago now. All right, so that might be acceptable. Okay, I'm going to declare the work on the generic list is being done. All right, so that's the generic renderer. We don't even have a toonie. No one uses the loonie. Apparently, a massive number of toonies are counterfeit. Like a massive number of them that are in circulation. And apparently it's like super easy, or was, to go online and just buy like fake toonies. And there were these like obviously counterfeit ones that people were buying in bulk from China. And they would just use them randomly and buy small things. Some of them had like comical, like some of them were just like comically counterfeit. And they, yeah, it was a while ago that I watched this. But if you search for it on YouTube, there's probably, I think I remember seeing some news thing that said there's low quality counterfeits, and there's also very, very high quality counterfeits that are apparently a lot of what's in circulation. It says zinc penny is worth about 0.78 cents. Yeah, that's to me that's an indication. That's an indication like we're on the cusp of like, you know, the empire is not falling today. But when as soon as that goes above 1, then it's just getting exceedingly more burdensome to support the penny. Dozens of videos about epidemic of fake toonies. Yeah, I only remember one, and it seemed to paint a picture of like there was a ton of them. I can't remember what it was, but it was like it almost looked like someone like made like a meme thing, and they put like, you know, their friend's face on it or something. There was a scam down here where the U.S. Mint was selling bulk currency at face value. People would buy it with a cashback card and get free rewards. Is it a scam, or is it a clever loophole? Love the accessibility of information we have in 2025. Major platforms never seem to promote the good and useful stuff. Yeah, it's there's almost too much good information out there now. It's hard to process it all. Cashback is for purchases. Bulk currency exchange at face value isn't really a purchase. Yeah, I guess that kind of sounds like a philosophical question. I guess if it implies that you can do an infinite loop where you can just like make infinite money off of the mint and your like rewards program, then clearly that has to be closed down. So, first, what I think we'll do, we'll implement the crafting recipe list. I only realized last weekend that you stream on weekends also. Yep, the quest for world domination doesn't end on the weekend. You gotta stream every day. Hope your hard work pays off. Yeah, me too. Hard work is a lot of work. But then again, sometimes things just don't work out. So we'll see. So this crafting recipe list item renderer is just going to take a list of input items and output items. And I just have to populate that list. Very excited for where this project is going. Almost looks at the point where Robert can focus on building the gameplay loop and adding content. Yeah, I think I have to agree. I think it is like it's still, it's obviously primitive, but I think more gameplay content makes it a bit, even though it's a primitive UI, if it has some like more detailed lore and gameplay content, then it's a lot easier to sell as an idea. And then if I can actually make revenue from it, then I can use that to fund more development, and it'll become even more interesting. Okay, that compiled. That was basically all I wanted there. So this is going to be replacing so this is going to be the more professional version of this function on try crafting. So this is how crafting works currently in the game. So if the player's inventory contains enough of this stuff, if it contains those things, then do this crafting. And if it otherwise, see if it has this, craft that. Otherwise, try crafting stone. Otherwise, try crafting wood. And as you can see, that's not a very good crafting system. Looks like it needs a refactor. Yep. But I think this is a good approach to like low fidelity prototyping and stuff. This code has done a lot of heavy lifting. It's been pretty performant for a long time now. But it's time to upgrade it. Impressed by your ability to make consistent progress while having conversation. I have some big projects, but if I had to take a break from staring at screens, I think I'd take. I think time away is productive too. Yeah, it was actually quite difficult. The first few streams, I did a few like 10-hour streams, and I got bored, so I was like, I might as well just work. And eventually I got kind of into a groove. it over time it I guess it's like if I'm just coding, I can get distracted with other stuff, like checking my email or whatever. And when I'm doing this, because like the primary distraction is the chat, I guess that prevents me from even thinking about anything else. So in a way, I might actually be even more productive when I'm doing this on stream. I guess it depends. If I like when I was working, what I would on my internships and stuff like that, I would have quite a few days where I was like just cranking out code like 8 hours a day. I never, sometimes I get into where I'm so productive, my hands actually start, like I'm typing so much, then I kind of have to slow down. It gives me like repetitive strain injury. Work-life balance is tough. There are deadlines and outside pressures. Yeah, I guess that's one benefit of this. Although I still have outside pressures, which are trying to not spend too much time on this. Try to prioritize money-making stuff. When no one is watching, I get distracted in YouTube stream chats. Yeah, there's so much interesting stuff on YouTube. It's easy to get distracted. Curious if you're reading anything at the moment. I'm in the middle of a few different books. Part of the screen break. A couple of already. Some new ones. I personally no. I would say honestly, in terms of like reading books, I haven't read a book in like many years. For the most part, most of the information I want, I can find it on the internet. I think I actually have bought some books, like textbooks and stuff, with the intention of like maybe reading them and maybe doing a video on some sections and stuff. But there's just too many. Those are more like academic thoughts, but I gotta focus more on the immediate, getting revenue up and getting my taxes done and nonsense like that. This escape. Just finished A Pattern Language by Christopher Alexander. Pattern Language, is that a programming book or? Not programming, but inspired. The design pattern movement in the 90s. Oh, okay. Interesting. Sounds very, very foundational. He also pioneered computational finite element analysis in the 50s. Oh, okay. He was an architect, like a building architect. Okay, so we're now actually instantiating recipe list item. Although there's no actual renderer for it. But I guess I'll probably leave it there for tonight, and then tomorrow night I will begin the steps of actually rendering the UI for this. So the next roadmap will be implement the renderer for this, so it actually displays like the input, the expected inputs for the crafting recipe, and then the outputs. I guess, and then I guess I have to think about that. What's the UI for it? I guess I could probably just have it selected. So you could probably just, I guess, press C. I guess you can probably, maybe if you press Enter or C, whatever the selected thing is, while you're on the crafting menu. And then also when you're in the map area, if you just press C, it'll automatically craft whatever recipe you have selected. I think that'll work. And then I guess that'll also require a message. Because the mapper uses a different thread. So we'll have to send messages to this. Yeah, we'll get there eventually. And then I guess maybe once the crafting system has been implemented, the last thing I will do is basically do the same thing for the inventory. So, and that won't be too difficult. That'll basically just be like implement the renderer function for this. All right, that'll be it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow for day 173. All right, have a good night.